Okay, and greetings and welcome to the educational rounds at Sinclair, where every week we take a topic related to health and wellness, correlated to psychiatry, mental health, and explore that topic. I am Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist here at Sinclair, and today I'm joined by
Emily, PA student.
And
Maura, PA student.
And today what we're going to be discussing is the effect of chronic stress on health. Who isn't stressed out today? And unfortunately, a lot of it's through our own making. However, what this stress does, it creates some significant medical issues and also some mental issues with individuals. So, Maura, could you possibly tell us a little bit about stress and what it involves in the body?
Sure. I focus more so on how chronic stress affects the body in particular. So stress is perceived by the body as a threat, and so similar to as if a dog barked at you, your body kind of goes into defensive measures. So the hypothalamus will signal to the adrenal glands to produce both adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline kind of bumps up the heart rate, blood flow, whereas cortisol will increase glucose and other forms of energy for the body to use. Usually the stress is regulated by the body, and you kind of go into fight or flight and then rest and digest. But someone who is in a state of chronic stress, they're always in that amped up fight or flight response. So the different systems that this can affect health-wise include the heart, digestive system. It can increase your risk of asthma, obesity, and even the risk for starting to smoke as a response to stress. Some of the long-term effects are heart disease. So with the increased heart rate and blood flow, as well as the constant release of triglycerides and cholesterol, that increases your risk of heart disease. Like I said, asthma is also more prevalent in those that are under chronic stress, and diabetes in particular is also an issue with someone who's in chronic stress. I also kind of looked into the link between chronic stress and poverty, and those in poverty have a tendency to be in more of a declined health status, and hypertension, diabetes, and anxiety are all things that are prevalent in those that are in poverty, most likely due not only to environmental and genetic issues, but also the stress that being in poverty puts you in.
Well, thank you, Maura. You've done an excellent job on that, and don't be offended at this. That's just awful. So tell me, Emily, what do you have?
I have how chronic stress affects the brain, or what's happening in the brain. Scientifically, we all kind of feel these things when we're in that state, but what's going on? Different areas of the brain have different functions. So patients who are with stress disorders, such as PTSD, may have alterations in their brain connectivity. For example, there's a stronger connection between the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory and emotions, and then the amygdala, which is that fight or flight response, responsible for that. So the fear is more rapid. We have these emotions, and since this connection is stronger, we're feeling it more quickly, and the fear is happening quicker. There may also be a weaker connection between the hippocampus, the emotions, and the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for helping us moderate our response. So we have these emotions, we feel something, and then we should be able to calm it down. But because the connection is weaker, we can't do that. Another thought is that there is different cells being produced. So there was a study done on rats that found that there are less neurons which process and store information, and they're being replaced with myelin-producing cells, which accelerate the speed at which the message happens. So the timing and with normal communication is also impaired, and we have difficulty with learning and memory.
Wow, excellent. So, and also involved in stress is cortisol. So what cortisol is produced by the adrenal glands, which sit right on top of your kidneys, and cortisol in its own place is a wonderful thing. It's the fight or flight. It let caveman run away from saber-toothed tigers. However, when we get caught in that yo-yo, in the fight or flight syndrome, or get stuck in one or the other, that cortisol keeps pumping out into our bodies and creates the circumstances and the symptoms and the ailments that Maura and Emily have described to you. What stress does, what cortisol does, it can create core body fat also. It can interfere with the way you metabolize glucose. And normally people who are under a lot of stress have a little tendency to be overweight. So we've talked a whole lot about the negative aspects of stress. However, we're here to tell you what to do about it. What can we do about it? What can we do about it? Well, here at Sinclair, we take a holistic view of the individual. We take a mind, body, spirit. When a person comes in with stress, we just don't write them a prescription, send them on their way, wish them a happy day. Isn't that something when you're at a place and everyone wishes you, have a good day, have a good day? Well, here at Sinclair, we try to assist you to have a good day and show you ways that can be done. So we look at everything that's going on in an individual's life. One thing that's associated with stress is a person exercising regularly. Do they have a mindfulness practice? Do they ever have a particular or an appropriate form to vent their anger, to vent their sadness, to vent their happiness, to vent their grief? You and I saw an individual today, Emily, and this individual is holding a lot of grief in, holding a lot of grief. And today that person said that this was the first time that she's actually been able to talk about it. Been able to talk about it. Another thing that people do is surround themselves with supportive friendships. Who are your friends? Do you have people that love you? Do you love people? If you do, you're a fortunate individual indeed. Another thing that they do is they get enough sleep. And one of the huge things that we deal with here at Sinclair is helping people disconnect from technology. What we do is do we need to be constantly connected? Do we need to have all that information constantly? When we're constantly tuned in, when we're constantly plugged in, we're living lives other than our own, which can lead to a great deal of stress, a great deal of anxiety. And we ask ourselves, step back and be the observer behind that stress, be observer behind that anxiety and those thoughts. How much are we participating in this drama? How much are we participating in the drama around us? Your life is simple. We just are experts at complicating it. So right now what we're going to do, we're going to do a little psychiatric first aid. A little psychiatric first aid. So I'm going to ask Emily and I'm going to ask Maura to blow this balloon up. And oftentimes when we're not participating in these type of practices to relieve and deal with stress and anxiety, they can blow up and become pressure, more pressure, and more pressure. Do you ever feel like you're ready to pop? Do you ever feel like you're ready to be a balloon? And I'm going to ask Miss Emily to what happens when somebody reaches the breaking point. There we go. Did you ever blow? Did someone ever say to you, I feel like I'm ready to blow. I feel like I'm ready to blow. Well, perhaps with a little bit of psychological first aid, perhaps with some exercise, with some mindfulness practices, with surrounding yourself with friendships, disconnecting yourself from technology, building on small successes, getting in touch with yourself, not participating in the drama around you. So what I'm going to do is ask Miss Maura to place these type of tools and these type of skills, which we're going to use as tape over the balloon. If you make a few crosses over that'd be super. So what we want to do, we want to provide ourselves with the skills. The drama in life is going to keep on coming. The speed bumps, the potholes, the dead ends, the wrong turns are going to keep on happening. How are we going to be able to deal with them? So here at Sinclair also what we do is not only assist people in skills, but unlearning some old thought patterns and behaviors that perhaps didn't work out so well. A lot of them in the past certainly did. So what I'm going to do is ask Ms. Maura to insert that pin, and hopefully something not this doesn't happen. And it did. So, however, then that means that those skills were not applied properly. And perhaps those skills were not honed to the degree that they need to be. So perhaps at the next time, what we'll do, we'll have Miss Mora practice these skills and incorporate those in her life, and perhaps next time that balloon will not blow up. So we're certainly glad that you joined us today. Every Monday we come out on a broadcast in Sinclair. Please feel free to visit us. We're still on, and this is the wonderful and the miracle and the joy of being alive. So what we're going to do now, we're going to ask both Miss Mora and Miss Emily, and they've sharpened their skills considerably since we last did this exercise. So we're going to take some skills, and we're going to use some extra skills. We're going to really use the ones that we've developed and worked very hard on.
The end.
Where's the beginning? That's great. I'll rip some off for you. You can.
Can you explain what you're doing for the people on audio? To the balloon.
Sure. For the individuals out there, what we've done is blown up a balloon. However, when you've reached that breaking point, when you've reached that point ready to pop, what we do, those particular skills, those particular suggestions that we've mentioned earlier, what we do is we use those skills on our life. So we use them as a buffer. We have a tool belt, and we use those skills. And what we do is we learn to respond rather than react to situations. We identify and we label overwhelming emotions without reacting to them, which is a part of mindfulness. And some of these anxiety and distress skills involve self-soothing, involve some self-soothing skills. So what we're doing is we're soothing ourselves. We're still ready and we're still tense, and we'll just see what happens. Life's a challenge and life's an adventure, so we'll see what happens now when these pins are inserted into the balloons where we have ourselves covered with the skills. And I'm ready for anything. Oh. And that would blow up. However, Miss Emily's did not. So today you've learned that we need to practice our skills, and we have to continue to practice them. So we can accompany that with a person that was chopping down trees, chopping trees, pound, pound, pound. A person walks past and says, "Do you think you might take a few minutes and sharpen your axe?" And the person said, "How can I? Look at all the trees I have to cut down." So we're all glad that you joined us today, and I had a good time. I hope you did too. So what we can do is ask Miss Mora to give our ending. Yes.
Sinclair Hangout outro. To continue the conversation, please like us on Facebook, plus us on Google Plus, or follow us on Twitter under Sinclair Life, and keep an eye on any of these for our next time recording Mondays around noon to ask your own questions.
And one of the common skills we use for individuals that maybe have a little heavy does it is perhaps don't take yourself too seriously. How seriously are you taking yourself? And you can see that we follow that maximum about not taking yourself too seriously. Mm-hmm. And again, we'll give you our prescription, fruits, nuts, and vegetables, unplug your TV, and perhaps go fishing. And as my friend Sven says, for some real mindful fishing practice, fish without bait. Be good to yourself. Until next time.